Namaste. Eckhart Tolle teaches us about non-resistance, non-attachment, and non-judgment. And he basically tells us that these three teachings are the cornerstone to spiritual awareness and spiritual consciousness. So, non-resistance, I talked about that in one of my other videos, is about accepting reality, um, and not having any internal resistance to what is. And so, if you were wanting to grill out, and let's say you wanted to grill out at 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden, 5 o'clock comes around and it just starts pouring down, raining. Um, if you're like most people, internally there's this feeling of angst, where you resist the fact that it's raining. But if you can't change reality, even if you can change your circumstances or reality, you want to internally accept that reality for what it is. And then if you do act to change whatever your circumstances are, then it'll be from a place of consciousness. It'll come from a place of presence. So that's non-resistance. And with non-resistance, there's a certain peace that comes. It's like what Eckhart Tolle says about having peace with your non-peace. So in other words, if you're not feeling peaceful and you're feeling like kind of irritable or just not as spiritual as you want to feel, then accept it. Don't have any resistance to it. Acknowledge it. Embrace it. Uh, and what happens when you accept that state of non-peace is it's transmuted into peace. So that's the whole idea of non-resistance. Then there's non-attachment. And attachment is when we cling to things in the world of form. This could be a certain ideology. This could be a political affiliation. It could be um, a cultural identification. Um, it could be a person. It could be a place. Uh, it could be a thing. But it's when we cling to it. It's that attachment where if I don't have it, I suffer. If I can't have it, I suffer. And so we want to be conscious uh, enough to break those attachments, to let go, I should say, to let go of those attachments. In fact, Eckhart Tolle says not to try to let go of the attachment, uh, just to realize and stop seeking yourself inside of the thing that you're attached to. If it's a person, don't don't seek yourself inside of that person. Don't try to understand yourself better by going into that person deeper. Uh, don't identify so much with your possessions. If it's a house, a big nice house in a really big nice neighborhood, and you identify yourself with being, I'm the guy that lives in such and such neighborhood, that identification maintains the attachment. So you want to disidentify with things in the world of form. We can have things without the thing having us. And I think that's the importance of non attachment. Doesn't mean that we can't enjoy things. Like I said, we can have things, but it's when we get to a point where the thing has us, then it's attachment. One of the things that Eckhart Tolle teaches us in terms of letting go of attachment or allowing attachments to drop away is to realize deeply the impermanence of all things. All things are impermanent. They take different forms. The weather is impermanent. One day it's sunny and the birds are out, they're chirping, and then the next day it rains. And then you can have snow in one season, and then you can have uh, beautiful sunshine in the summer. Just like the weather changes, people change. That person that you knew in childhood that you played with uh, grows up and becomes someone completely different. You know, relationships change, people change, your job will change. Don't be so attached to, oh, this job uh, is how I identify myself. I am a technician. I am a lawyer. I am a teacher. I am a whatever. Don't allow your identity to be caught up in things because that's attachment, and it always leads to suffering. So inner peace comes when we let go of attachment and allow those attachments to drop away. And then there's the teaching of non-judgment. And on the surface, it sounds one way, but underneath the surface, we find something else. So non-judgment on the surface, it sounds like not to judge other people. Well, that could be an aspect of it, but the deeper truth is in the idea that we don't judge any circumstance as good or bad. And one of the ways that this is illustrated by a lot of a lot of spiritual teachers is there's a story about this farmer, and he has a son, and he's got a horse, and he's got you know other things. But what happens is his horse um, runs away, and his neighbors are quick to judge the situation. They come over and they say, "Oh, that's bad news. Your horse ran away." And the farmer just says, "We'll see." And so, as the story goes, the horse comes back, and he comes back with several other horses that were wild horses, and now they belong to this farmer. And so it looks like good luck. And so his neighbors, they come over to his house and they judge the situation. They say, "Oh, your horse brought back all these horses. That's really good fortune." And the farmer says, "We'll see." And so, as the story goes, the farmer's son was riding on one of these new horses. And as he was riding, the horse threw him off, and the son broke his leg. And his neighbors were quick to judge the situation. And they come over to his house and they say, "Your son broke his leg. That's really bad luck." And the farmer simply says, you can probably guess now, We'll see. So a couple days later, war breaks out, and the general's army, they're going around recruiting young, able-bodied men to join the army and go fight on the front lines, which is probably not going to end well for those men. But they don't take the farmer's son because his leg is broken. He's not able-bodied. So his neighbors were quick to judge the situation. They come over and they say, "Your son wasn't chosen to go to war. That's such good luck." And the neighbor, the farmer, simply responds, "We'll see." So there's this idea of non-judgment. Uh, in order to really grasp this concept, you have to understand that in order to judge any situation, you would have to have a complete knowledge of everything that was going to transpire from the beginning to the end in order to put anything in context. So what we do most of the time is we see a situation, we see our circumstances or our life situation, and we take a snapshot of it in a certain moment, and then we assign all of these judgments to this snapshot that we have. We can't see everything to the end and understand how this particular snapshot will play a role in the unfolding of this thing that we call life. And so to judge any situation outside of a complete understanding of how everything's going to go is is a is a lacking judgment. We really don't know. And so this idea of non-judgment is to take everything basically with, as people would say, as some people say, a grain of salt. Now, personal application to this spiritual teaching, um, most of us, if you like most people, if you get praise, you get compliments. People tell you, "Hey, that outfit looks great," or your hair looks nice, or "Hey, you're toning up, your body looks great." We most of us kind of just allow that to you know hit us and it bounces off. We don't really internalize it. We don't allow it to get into us and take root and allow it to nurture us. We halfway don't even believe it when they say it because we have this other voice inside our head that's telling us, no, you're not actually in as good a shape as you think. Oh, no, that haircut doesn't look as nice as you think. And so when people pay us compliments, we kind of, maybe. And on the other side of that, when people criticize us, they tell us, oh, that was stupid, or oh, you shouldn't have done that, or that you probably could lose, 10, 15 pounds. Oh, we take that in, we internalize that, and it takes root, and it, drives our behavior. Okay, so non-judgment allows us to have the space not to internalize anything as good or bad. Again, it goes back to what one spiritual teacher said. He said, I've given no one this privilege that anyone can make me happy, that anyone can make me sad, that anyone can make me miserable. And so there's this non-judgment. When someone pays you a compliment, just let it, just have the same attitude as the farmer. We'll see. When someone gives you a criticism, something negative, something toxic, you don't even have to judge it. Just see. See. Because that person, when they judge you, they give you the positive. They only have a fragment. They only have a captured moment, a moment captured in time. They don't have the full picture. When someone criticizes you, they only have a fragment. They don't have the full picture, whether it's a criticism or a compliment. And so stay centered, just like the farmer, not putting too much stock in any positive or any negative, staying centered, simply taking the position. We'll see. Namaste.